Hello everyone, and welcome back to my shed talk. I'm sorry about that whirring in the background. I have absolutely no idea what is going on in the field opposite my house, but I can't do anything. It's been making that noise all day. So today I want to talk about something that's been affecting me for a very long time now. It's actually coming up to a year since I got addicted to ketamine. Because for those of you that don't know, a lot of you do know because I've made a few videos on it, my struggle with ketamine addiction, and just general anecdotal stories about my experience with this substance and what led me down the path of addiction, really. So this time, next week, last year, I was at this festival and I ended up breaking up with my girlfriend of nearly 3 years. It was the deepest relationship I've ever had, and it was a devastatingly traumatic time for me, especially the circumstances with which it happened, and also my behaviour when it comes to dealing with traumatic incidents. And unfortunately, I did fall down the ketamine rabbit hole, or ketamine K-hole, if you want to call it that. And at first it just was, what happened. You know what happens when you have breakups or you're grieving or going through any sort of pain, especially breakups, you go on a bit of a bender, don't you? You just sort of go mad for a few weeks, doing all the hedonistic BS to just distract you from the pain. And for me, that was using Special K. At first, it was just literally, hello everyone, and welcome to my shed talk once again. Today I want to talk about my ongoing struggle with ketamine addiction, which sort of was kick-started around a year ago next week. I broke up with my girlfriend. It was the deepest relationship I'd ever had at a festival. The worst circumstances for breaking up. You go to festivals to have a good time, and I basically went there to come back with PTSD, which I ended up trying to mask with the use of the substance ketamine, which, if you don't know, it's colloquially known as a horse tranquilizer. It's a dissociative type drug that induces feelings of dissociation and disconnect with reality. Your body can produce all these amounts of out-of-body experiences. The reason I got addicted to this particular substance and not something else like alcohol or cannabis or anything, even stuff harder and worse for you, I guess, is because, for me, ketamine, being addicted to it, it was like constantly living in a little dream world, a bubble where nothing could affect you, nothing mattered. And that profound feeling of nothing mattering was really something that accelerated my addiction, because every single time the pain of the breakup, or just the pain of being, because it wasn't just the breakup, it was all these things that had been building up. I'd had so many. Last year I was going through some mad, I thought I was actually going insane at one point. My mind, I must have ADHD or something, because my mind is so unbelievably erratic. It is quite distressing at times. I have problems with insomnia. I have problems with just overanalyzing things, being stuck in my own head, which a lot of people seem to be quite surprised to hear, because, I don't know, on my YouTube I'm just so much more open and relaxed, and this is really like therapy for me, doing YouTube. So again, thank you all for supporting me on this journey. I know lots of you follow me on Instagram know just how bad my ketamine addiction has been for the past year. And I wanted to just talk about what it has actually been like, because it's something I think that affects so many people in the UK. It's one of the most widely used recreational drugs, and also for this sort of my generation, I feel like a lot of people have got sort of ADHD symptoms that mess with their head. Obviously, ADHD in one sense is a superpower, because it has allowed me to do all these amazing things and make connections and just do crazy stuff and have wild adventures and make this YouTube stuff. I could not have done that if I was a neurotypical person who was just like, right, I'll do my 9 to 5 job and get home and watch fucking, I don't know, Gossip Girl for 9 hours. I have no idea what neurotypical people do, but yeah. Again, absolutely nothing wrong with a 9 to 5 workload. For some people that is sorted, and to be honest, in some sense, half of me wishes I was able to do that. But to be fair, I'm so much happier doing this YouTube thing. I don't make boatloads of money off this at all, but it's enough to keep me stable. And at the end of the day, I'm really not asked about money at all. I just love doing what I do, and this is helpful for me. But tangent. I have a problem with these tangents. What does it feel like to be addicted to ketamine? Yeah, it is like walking around in a dream type bubble. And overuse of it and abusing it can lead to serious levels of dissociation, where I'm quite extroverted. I'm one of them people, I'll just be on a night out and I'll just like chat shit to anybody. And this element of my personality was slowly getting degraded more and more each week, because I was on ketamine every single day for months and months, until I finally broke out of it, and I just started, I was still addicted to it, I just leveraged my use of it, and I've slowly been trying to do that over and over and over again, and unfortunately I just keep coming back to it. And even though, say, I won't get as heavy on it, it's still a relapse, isn't it, for somebody who is addicted to a substance. Because it's weird, because after Rosa Festival, the festival I've just been to, I really thought I'd got over it. I really thought that was it for me, and I was able to enjoy sober reality without it. But it's left such a massive dent in my cognitive functions. This is why I don't do any of these interviews. This is why I don't do podcasts on the channel. Might seem to you guys that I'm well articulated or all together, but actually I really the ketamine abuse, it hasn't. I'm very lucky that it hasn't affected my bladder in any noticeable way. It's probably done some damage, because honestly, the amount of abuse of this substance is just ridiculous for me, and it definitely has had some effect physically. But I don't actually notice it, and it hasn't been noticeably damaging, even though I definitely think it has damaged it in some sense. But the real damage, the real horror of the ketamine addiction has been the degradation of my cognitive faculties. There was a point where I was on ketamine so much, and anybody who's used it or knows about this substance knows that your hand-eye coordination and your speech is massively impaired, and your memory is impaired. And what happens for a lot of people who abuse ketamine to the nth degree, like I was doing, was that these faculties, these mental abilities, will literally be again degraded to a point where, like, your baseline level of consciousness is sober reality. It's like being on ketamine. You can't talk, can't use your hand, utilize your hand-eye coordination as well as you need to. It got to a point where I was literally like, couldn't even tie my own shoelaces. I'd forgotten how to do it. Short-term memory destroyed. I'd be at people's houses. I'd be forgetting my wallet, my phone, my car keys, this, that, and the other. Going to festivals, forgetting my bag. It was awful, and I'm only just starting to think. I think I'm starting to heal physically from that. I feel like my brain is sort of repairing itself. But there was a point where I genuinely thought I had done permanent brain damage to myself. And the worst part was, instead of just stopping and being like, right, I need to sort this out, I was like, well, I've already damaged my brain to the point of no repair. I may as well just keep doing it, and it just kept going on and on and on. Then there'd be days where I was like, right, I'm just going to nip this in the bud. I'm not going to do it anymore. I'm going to try and because the worst part for me was I could make it throughout the day, and then at night time, when I'm alone with my thoughts in bed, just trying to relax, I couldn't even like focus on games, TV, or music or anything. I'd be like, I just need to get on Ket to relax right now. And what I'd do was that basically I would listen to music and just sort of like induce a K-hole, where basically you'll just listen to music with headphones and you'll lie down and like you just lose all sense of your body and you're flying around. It's so peaceful and so mystical and transcendent. But the caveat is that you will just get, if you're anything like me, you will get very addicted to this sort of state of consciousness, and you'll become dissociated from normal, sober human reality, which at the end of the day, no matter how great that state is of the K-hole, the peaceful, nothing matters state of being, you will always come back to being a human and have to deal with the sufferings of life, the joys, the melancholy, everything you don't egoically like about reality, but it's actually beautiful, because I've realised throughout all this experience that I actually prefer. I finally got to a point where I was like, right, and I was nipping it in the bud a lot more. I went from doing it every day to sort of doing it once or twice a week and alternating, just doing my best to stay off it. And I did have the revelation where I was like, I do prefer my sober state of being to the ketamine state of being, where it was getting to the point where I literally was just going out, like walking, even going to restaurants and going off to like have a key in the toilet. It's just absolutely, I feel so bad about doing it, but I also have to acknowledge that this is all part of the steps towards recovery. It's baby steps, and if you're addicted to ket like I was and are still struggling with, you need to remember that even when you relapse, even when you backpedal on your progress, remember that it's all baby steps towards eventually overcoming it. And the best thing you can do is not penalise yourself. Don't punish yourself for doing this, because oftentimes these addictions take years to get over, and because there's such a deep, especially when you're doing it as much as I was, it becomes such a deep aspect of your psyche and sort of soul, in a sense, that you need to do some serious healing and try and find yourself. My best advice to people who are addicted to ket is that you need, and this is for a lot of addictions, first of all, you need to go inwards and find what was the cause of it, what was the catalyst, why are you drawn to this particular thing that you're addicted to, because people can be addicted to anything. Like oftentimes people are addicted to, say, like sugary foods and junk food because it gives them that solace, that peace, and again, the dopamine feedback loop. And let me tell you, ketamine really gets you into that dopamine feedback loop that Gen Z, sort of these TikTok addicted heads, suffer with, where they can't even literally sit down and watch a TV show or film without going on the phone every other second, because it gives them a better dopamine hit than what they're watching. And ketamine really exacerbated that for me, where all these things I enjoyed, like games and movies and walking and everything, I couldn't do without being on ket. And this was absolutely devastating for me, because I mean, at the time when you're in that ketty sort of state and you're like, oh, everything's great in a daze and in this dreamy cloud sort of experience, as soon as you run out of that stuff, there's no satisfaction from doing it. There is no sense of completeness at all, because it's just like, oh, I'm back to reality. Whoop, there goes gravity. Quite literally on ket, because you will be falling over. And you'll just be constantly searching. This will destroy your wallet, your mind, and it'll completely take over your life. It'll affect your relationship with your family, your friends, and like what I was saying before, it was destroying I love being an extrovert. I mean, I guess I'm like sort of an ambivert, because I go through phases of introversion, extroversion, but most of the time I just sort of got the balance. And it was destroying this ability for me to go out and speak to people and make new connections, which is what I love. And I was even struggling to speak to people on my Instagram Messenger, because I wasn't able to type, because I'd be so ketty all the time. And literally, when you're on ket, your brain just can't literally make a clue of what you're doing at all. You can't even read words. You'll be retyping the same message over and over again, because none of it makes sense. It's no way to live. You literally cannot live like that in sober reality. It's probably one of the most debilitating addictions that people don't talk about, actually, and it's affecting so many young people in the UK, ravers and everything. It's taken over the raving scene. And let me just be clear, this isn't me projecting my hate onto the substance itself. Ketamine is a very magical substance and can be extremely powerful for depression and experiencing mystical states, transcending the ego, etc. All these positive, beautiful things, but if it's abused, it will destroy your life big time. And not only will it destroy your blood, it will destroy your mind. It'll destroy your ability to express yourself. My linguistic capabilities have been destroyed from ketamine, even though they're sort of coming back. Every time I end up relapsing, I just realise, what do I actually... I take a long look at myself. I just have to realise, what do I value more? Escaping the suffering and indulging in the K-hole that might feel great for a while, or do I value my what do I do on YouTube, my ability to talk to people and express myself, and wanting to take this further with, like, I do want to do podcast interviews, and I want to do like more voice acting and audiobooks and everything. But for those for a long time, and people even notice in the comments, they're like, oh, are you on ket when you made this because you're slurring your words and all this? And I actually wasn't on it. I would never have done it whilst I was on it, because I literally can't. But the after effects in my ability to, in my cognitive functions, my ability to just talk, was damaged so much by this excessive use of this substance, and it's an effect that most people don't talk about. The main thing people talk about with ketamine abuse is obviously the bladder degradation, but people don't talk about the cognitive effects of it at all. Your short-term memory will get destroyed if you abuse this substance, and let me tell you, that is, you won't even realise it's happening until, again, you're doing what I'm doing, for going to festivals and forgetting your fucking sleeping bags and shit, your most important things that you should remember, because you don't even think about it, because it's that ability to, it must just affect your hippocampus and all these other aspects of your brain that work with memory. Because again, what is ketamine really doing at the end of the day? It's shutting parts of your brain off, and that's obviously where the appeal comes from for people who are going through trauma, or like want to escape their logical, over-analytical mind that keeps them up all the time. You'll be drawn to ketamine because it will take you out of that, and it'll just be like, you're just in a daze, but it's like a perfect daze to just bask in, because there's no thoughts, no worries, it's almost like pure unadulterated happiness. And obviously with any chemical form of happiness comes the dependency, which is really not good, man. Another thing it massively affected me, and it exacerbated my insomnia, because I guess some people say they can sleep on ket, it sort of puts them to sleep. There's a few different types of ket. There's the more psychedelic stuff, I think it's I get the names mixed up. It's either isomer, there's like S-isomer and R-isomer, like S-ket and R-ket. There's two different types. One of them is the more tranquilizing experience, where it literally just feels like, yeah, you've been shot by some fucking elephant tranquilizer in the wild, and you can't move, and you just have boom. And then there's the other one that's the more psychedelic, sort of mystical, going through the tunnels, going through the K-hole, the weird geometrical places. You can experience so many insane things, like the amount of things I've experienced like that, because obviously abusing ket, I went through some insane mystical experiences. I was like this, completely overshadowed like many of my breakthrough psychedelic experiences. Basically my brain was turned off to a point where like I couldn't even comprehend physical reality. And there was this one time, one of the most strangest things I've ever experienced. It was like breaking out the Matrix. I was like, I just did the thing, I put my headphones on, and right, my camera keeps overheating, so I'm gonna have to wrap this up. What I was saying was that when I woke up out of this ketty state that I was in, basically on the verge of the K-hole, I woke up and I was in my room, and the only thing I was on was my bed. Everything else was completely black, and as I touched stuff, like I touched the chair would literally materialise, sort of like a video game where the game gets rendered. It was like that, and every time I became conscious of something, it would literally materialise. And this was one of my most profound revelations into the nature between consciousness and physical reality, where it seems very much to me through my experiences that consciousness is physical reality. Consciousness doesn't stop here, it doesn't stop where your eyes are, it literally extends outward. You are literally reality, or at least that's my perspective. You might have a different one. And obviously, yeah, even though I have suffered massively through this ketamine addiction, has been some great insights, and you've got to see your journey through addiction as a catalyst towards greater change and development. And eventually, in the end, once you're over it, once you've recovered, you will see it as you will see the suffering in a more positive light. It all seems completely necessary. Everything I've been through, all the suffering in my life, I'm so grateful for, in a sense. Obviously, you don't want to experience it really at the time. The experience of it isn't nice. Pain isn't designed to feel good, but it sure is a massive kick in the ass for getting to where you need to be. And even though I have this ongoing struggle with this substance, I can definitely pat myself on the back for doing way better and getting out of that rut of being on it every single day, and disconnecting from my family and my friends, and most importantly myself, which is something I really need to do. I need to direct more love inwards and realise that everything that I need, I have, and everything that I want, say, out of a substance is already in here. The peace is already in here. So yeah, that's what it's like to be addicted to ketamine. If anybody else would like to talk about their experiences, I want to talk about this way more. This is something I want to really put my energy into, and this helps me a lot, as a recovering addict, to talk about this more, and especially when it's just not out there on YouTube. There's so little information on this extremely popular substance, especially in the UK, which is what I want to talk about next time. Why is it so popular in the UK? And I think there's so many varieties, not just based upon the location and everything, but actually the personalities of people, young people in the UK, were very much drawn to it, because the way we live life is so different to, say, millennials and Gen Xers and whatever, who are more drawn to other things, more drawn to getting addicted to other stuff. We're very much in the UK. People really seem to take solace in the Ketty bubble that you'll find yourself in. So yeah, hope you guys enjoyed this, and if you have any thoughts regarding your own journey with addiction and advice for anybody, that's not even just dealing with cat, but any other substance, then let me know. And yeah, probably make a part 2 for this, because there's so many things I didn't talk about. Thanks for sticking with me, guys. I really love all of you. You're amazing. Thank you for letting me do this. This is the greatest honour of all time, to be able to talk about these things openly to people in the world. And I know, unfortunately, probably a lot of like my friends and family will watch this video, and part of me was like, oh, I don't really want them to know, but you know what? How can we get better if we're not open and have a dialogue and talk about this? Because so many people suffer in silence and don't know how to reach out to people, but at the end of the day, you might feel embarrassed, but really these people care about you and want to hear about it, even though it might be painful for them to understand what you've gone through in your own time, in your own privacy. But the way to get out of it is to talk openly and be accepting the fact that people do get addicted to stuff, even trivial crap. I've been addicted to fucking mowing your lawn. That's an addiction. But yeah, addictions can get pretty serious, especially when it's something that is destroying your mind, your body and your soul. So yep, hope you're all well, and I'll see you in the next one.